You ready? Let's go. 2-minute daily devo from Monday, August 8th. I'm in the New International Reader's Version today, and our verse of the day comes from the book of Philippians chapter 3. I want to give you a little context here before I get to our verse of the day. Paul here talking to the followers of Christ at Philippi, and he's talking about knowing Jesus better. And he starts off by giving his credentials, and he says this. He says, I was circumcised on the 8th day. I was part of the people of Israel from the tribe of Benjamin. I am pure Hebrew, and as far as the law is concerned, I am a Pharisee. Back then, the Pharisees were very learned people. They had studied the Old Testament, the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. They had memorized it and could quote it and knew all the laws and followed those laws to the T. He says, as far as being committed is concerned, I oppose and attack the church. So Paul starts off saying, I am a Hebrew of Hebrews, circumcised and learned and from the right tribe and all this kind of stuff. But Paul says, I attack the church. You know, Paul was known as Saul, and Saul went about rounding up Christians and throwing them in prison, which eventually some of them were killed and murdered for their faith, because the Pharisees and those that Paul represented did not believe that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. You see, they liked being in charge. And Paul was against that and fought against the church. But then Jesus showed up. He had an encounter with Christ. And he goes on to say, I want to know Jesus. Get down to our verse of the day and check this out. I love this. He says, I want to know Christ better. He says, yes, I want to know the power that raised him from the dead. I want to join him in his sufferings. I want to become like him by sharing in his death. You see, that's what an encounter with Jesus will do. It'll take you from one extreme where you're opposing Christ, and that Jesus, when he knocks Paul off of his donkey, he says, why are you beating against me? Why are you fighting against me? So it went from Saul fighting against Jesus to now saying, I want to, as Paul, die with Christ. I want to know Jesus more. That's what an encounter with Christ will do. And this is the attitude that you and I should have as well. If you had an encounter with Christ, it should be our goal to say, yes, I want to know Christ better. And if you're watching this Devo, you are doing that. You are wanting to know Christ better. The more time you spend in God's Word, the more time you're getting to know Jesus. The more time you spend in prayer, the more time you're getting to know His heart. I want to know Christ better. Paul says, I want to know the power that raised him from the dead. You know, the Bible talks about that same power that raised Christ from the dead lives inside of us when we say yes to Jesus. That same power, Paul says, I want to know that. I want to know and experience that power. He says, I want to join him in his sufferings and become like him by sharing in his death. That's the commitment level that Paul has gone to. From killing Christians and throwing them in jail to saying, I will die for the cause of Christ. This is the goal that you and I should have as followers of Jesus Christ. I know this, I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it, and I hope you are too, where we say, man, I want to know Jesus so much that I don't care if I get martyred for the cause. This is our goal, to know Jesus better. And I will encourage you as a follower of Christ to take that undertaking and be like Paul and say, I want to know Jesus better. I want to know the power. I want to know what raised him from the dead, and I'm willing to lay my life down for him. All right, that's it, guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow.